Welcome everybody, Lily here from the Rising Network, and welcome to our 3-week online course, Redefining Success, What's Your Long Win, with guest speaker Dr. Cath Bishop, who's the founder and author of The Long Win, The Search for a Better Way to Succeed. Now, I'm really excited to have Cath join us. Previously, Cath was an Olympic rower, and she took part in many Olympic challenges and won a couple of medals. Is that right, Cath?
Absolutely, yeah. Olympic silver, World Championships gold.
There we go.
And failed a few times as well.
But that's all good and lessons learned, and Cath's going to share over the course of 3 weeks her experiences on this. And then after she worked and served as a diplomat, where she specifically worked within conflict resolution, which equipped her with lots of leadership negotiation skills. And currently now, Cath works with individuals and organisations to help organisations and individuals increase performance and define their own leadership skills. So this is a 3-week online course starting today. So for the next 3 weeks, please join us same time, 12 till 1 p.m. And today is module 1, and we'll be focusing on clarity. So as I said, my name's Lily and I'm the founder of the Rising Network. Welcome. And today's agenda, we've got Cath, we've got everyone here for 1 hour. We would like to make this very interactive. So I'll hand over to Cath shortly. She will do her interactive talk, and then we'll break up for 15 minutes for group discussions, and then come back for reflections and look to close promptly at around 1 p.m. So today's learning outcome, what you'll learn is how to find clarity and connect with your purpose, how to develop a constant learning mindset, how to develop and grow your network, and how to collaborate versus compete. So a bit about us, for those of you who don't know us, our mission is to use the power of community to empower you to realise your true potential, and as well as achieving overall balance and happiness in all areas of life. So we have a real holistic approach and ethos we take. And our vision is to be recognised as a global community that empowers women to become change makers, to make a difference in their everyday life and in the lives of others. So when you have any touch points with us or attend any of our sessions, our hope is that you will go away and pick up new tools, new learnings, new techniques to help you apply and implement them in your everyday life to make positive changes. So everything we do is done in collaboration. We don't do it alone. We work with advisors and chapter leads. And here are some of the chapter leads and advisors that work with us, and they help us define content. They're involved in facilitating and in speaking. So we don't do this alone. We work with community, and that's really important to us. And why does the membership work? Lots of benefits for getting involved if you're not a member of the Rising Network. It's a great way to fuel your personal development, and that's that whole piece of reaching your potential. You can learn at your own pace. If you can't attend something, there's always catch-up recorded videos that you can watch in your own time. It's a great way to network. We provide access to people that you normally wouldn't come across sectors from all walks of life. So it's a really nice way of expanding your network and meeting new people. We facilitate access to experts, advice, mentors, and speakers. So again, another way for you to get those tools and techniques and rich learnings from people who have been there and done that. Self-confidence, we could always improve self-confidence. I include myself in that. If you experience imposter syndrome, which I know is very common among women, it's a really safe and supportive environment for you to come in and learn, pick up ways to nurture self-confidence in a very warm and supportive environment. And finally, it's a great way to improve well-being. This links back to our mission. Everything we do, if we are not good in ourselves, if our health is not good, we're not good. We can't perform in the workplace, and we're no good to anybody at home. So what you'll see running through what we do at the network encompasses a lot around well-being and helping you to make small changes in your life to improve your health and how you feel about yourself. We deliver lots and lots of formats. So when you come into the Rising Networks, there's different ways that you can get involved. So today you've joined us for a 3-week course. So you'll see Cath, who's an expert in her field, who'll be sharing her knowledge for the 3 weeks. We also deliver different formats, including challenges, mentoring circles. So women particularly find it quite hard to access mentors. So we deliver mentoring circles as a way for you to access mentors. We've got Women Rising in STEM sessions. So if you're specifically working in STEM, we've got workshops, e-learning masterclasses, and a lot more. And then we've got our annual Rising Festival, which is taking place in March, which I'll share a bit more about at the end of today's session. So thank you very much for listening. I would now like to hand you over to Cath for redefining success for Module 1, Clarity. Over to you, Cath.
Lovely. Thanks so much. Thanks for setting that all up, Lily. And thank you all for joining today, for making time in these kind of crazy world we're living in. I'm sure we're all juggling there. You're most welcome to be drinking cups of tea and having your lunch and juggling homeschooling at the same time as well, if that's what enables you to join us. So I'm glad we've got 3 sessions so we can build a little bit, get to know each other a little bit as well as part of that. And our topic, yes, is redefining success. And what a time to be thinking about that. What a time to be, reevaluating what matters to us. It's something that we often do at the beginning of a year, but actually after 2020, all of the uncertainty, the way our lives are being turned upside down has really started to help us to reevaluate what matters. That was something I was already thinking about and writing about before the pandemic struck, because I think often we can get in a track where we feel success is something that we ought to be achieving things, and it's something that's externally put upon us. What I want us to be doing and thinking about is actually defining success on our own terms. What are the things that are really important that actually sit with the deeper values? What's going to have a longer term meaning for us, rather than just the next deadline or the next target that somebody tells us we should be working towards? And that's really the theme, to take a bit of time today to be thinking about our motivations at a deeper level than just the next deadline. To be thinking about our own growth as a key part of how we define success. Again, not about hitting an external target. Sure, they play a role in lots of our jobs and they're important, but actually, what are we gaining through achieving those targets and deadlines? How are we growing? How are we nurturing ourselves? How are we making sure that we learn, when things go wrong, when we don't hit the targets we're set? Actually, what are we still taking from that? How are we making sure there's that constant growth? And how can we ensure that we are connected? Very much part of the ethos of the Rising Network. So again, those learning outcomes that Lily shared earlier, that's what we're going to look at over the 3 weeks. And this is really built on my book that came out in October last year, that's was picked up by the Financial Times as one of their best business books. Actually, the Daily Mail picked it up as well as one of their best books in 2020. And I think it's really chimed with the space we suddenly have where we're saying, hang on, what's this all about? What really matters? Please, I'd love to sort of stay connected, have conversations. If there's anything that you don't have time within the session to ask me, then link in on LinkedIn or kind of follow and connect through my website, cathbishop.com, through Twitter, through Instagram. I'd love to sort of stay connected and see how you take some of these questions that I ask you and reflect on them, because we're going to have, a limited amount of time to think during these sessions. And what I want us to do is to be able to continue those reflections. So actually, to get us all going, so I can start to hear from you all, I'd love to have that sense, first of all, of when I even talk about success, what does that mean for you? What words come into your mind? What is it that you think of? What concepts? What are the things that you start to think about when I say, what does success look like for you? And I'd love to hear in your language a bit about what that looks like. So yeah, it's about leading people. Yeah, it's about change. Family is very important, Emily. Purpose and happiness, Sarah, big concepts there. And purpose is going to be a key part of what we look at today. And what does that actually mean? How do we understand that? Lara, I love that piece about the world around us, doing something that contributes. Inner peace. Yeah, I mean, this is big stuff, isn't it? This isn't just about hitting next week's deadline and getting our next project finished on time. These are the success metrics that have meaning for us. Developing others, that work, that home life. Ali, I love that developing other piece. Laura, balance. Wow, what does that mean? And how do you use that as a means of reviewing how you're doing? So I really like the language that you're bringing in. This is very much the language that we're going to be talking about, thinking about, and I want you to use the time that we've got together to start putting flesh on that. These are your success metrics, and yet are you organizing your day around these things? Are you actually at the end of the day thinking, what have I contributed towards that happiness in a small way today? How have I explored, as Catherine says, that alignment whilst I'm being stretched in a lot of different directions, rather than thinking, have I done everything on my to-do list? Okay, so the message here is going to be, get rid of the to-do lists as your main metric of success. They are a tool. I use them, I have them, but at the end of the day, they don't tell me whether I've been successful or not today. They're a really small measure because they probably don't tell me whether I've really built some useful relationships and, deepened those relationships, connected with somebody. Have I supported someone else today? That might not be on my to-do list. That's a really important part to me of whether I've had a successful day. So I want us to sort of stretch some of those metrics that we're using and come back to this language that you've put and make sure that your day is focusing on these elements, checking in with these elements. How can you use the interactions that you have in your personal and professional life to move closer to these aims rather than just the emails that are poured into your inbox? So it's a lovely sharing there with that. Let me go back to sharing my slides. I for some reason lost the chat when I did that. Okay, so again, just setting up the structure. Quite often in our organizations, we look at the things that are visible on the surface. We discuss roles, we discuss responsibilities, we discuss results and spreadsheets. But all of that is implemented, brought alive, achieved by what happens under the surface, the way we think, our mindset, our attitudes, our beliefs, the way we choose to, the perspective we take, the way we choose to frame things that we experience, our behaviors. And mindset affects behaviors and behaviors affect mindset, and our relationships, how we interact with others around us. And I want us to be thinking about success much more in terms of how we think, how we behave, how we interact, because these elements in that right cycle are within our control very largely to influence. There's a lot at the moment that's outside of our control, but we have a choice how we respond to that, how we behave, and how we connect with others. And I want those things to be key parts of how you define success for yourselves, how you turn up in the best way, and how at the end of the day you can think, what were the kind of attitudes that I brought to my work and to the challenges and opportunities today? How did they help me? And how might I develop my mindset tomorrow to be even more effective? They are absolutely ways in which in all of my careers and the challenges I had as an Olympic athlete, working as a diplomat, where I specialized in working in some really conflict-affected, challenging war zones around the world, and in my work now as a business coach and as a parent, which brings me back into the world of conflict, in all of those areas, in order to be at my best, I needed to be developing how I was thinking, how I was turning up, my mood, the behaviors, the relationships. And don't worry if you've just joined us, you're very welcome. And please, you know, we're just setting up how we're going to be approaching our definition of success and our theme of clarity. So the cycle on the right, mindset, behaviors, relationships, is what I want you after today to be focusing on, thinking about around you. Again, if anyone is juggling homeschooling, don't just think about, have we completed all the tasks that were the teachers set us? Think about actually what was the mindset that we brought to that and that our children brought to it. You know, how were we able to behave when things went wrong? And it's completely normal to get stressed when we lose track of what's happening or we go down the wrong route. But how can we actually support each other with some compassion? Not just have we done everything that's on Google Classroom today? The same with our work jobs. We've never finished that endless to-do list. Don't just beat yourself up over that, but think, do you know, what did I bring to the meetings, to the opportunities, to the conversations today? How did I turn up? How did I help and develop somebody else around me? To go back to that lovely development theme that you put in the chat when you were saying what success means for you. How did I behave towards others when I was feeling challenged, but also when I had some opportunities? And these are all areas that affect performance, resilience, learning, leadership. I do a lot of work in business schools and working with organizations. Sometimes we focus on performance, sometimes we focus on resilience, sometimes we're focusing on how we keep learning, and sometimes we focus on how we develop as leaders. And you know what? There is huge overlap. And in all of those worlds, one of the areas we often don't pay enough attention to, but we have so much control over, is the way we think, the way we behave, and the way we interact. So I want to allow some time in all of our 3 sessions for you to start thinking about yourself in those terms. Now, none of those things show up in the electronic calendar. We often don't schedule it. We don't have a 2 p.m. meeting on a Tuesday to discuss mindset, but it is affecting everything that we do. And I want in your reflections, in that mental space, for you to be reflecting on, yeah, how am I turning up, and how might I turn up a little bit differently? How might I experiment, explore different ways of thinking and behaving and interacting with others, and then noticing the impact that that has on yourself and on those around you that you're working with or living with. So the 3 C's are what I use to explore our mindset, behaviors, and relationships. The 3 C's make up this long win approach. So we're not just interested in what we've got to achieve next week. We're thinking about, how do we create performance in a sustainable way? How can we be at our best, not just working on adrenaline, but actually how can we make sure we are really investing in ourselves in the way we turn up? And today we're going to focus on clarity. The second session will focus on constant learning, and the third session will be looking at connection in a bit of a deeper way. So first of all, we're going to start with some questions around clarity. And my first question to you, and again, I want you to add your answers into the chat in a moment, but I'm just going to set it up first, is to ask you, what is it that gets you out of bed in the morning? Now, before you answer that, I'm going to ban a few answers, okay? So you can't talk about pets or children or partners. You can't talk about coffee, or breakfast, or whatever it is that you're thinking about. And I don't want to hear about alarm clocks, okay? That's very dull. It's very realistic. But what I want to hear about is a level deeper than that. What is it you look forward to each day? What is it that really is your driver? What are the things that make it worthwhile getting out of bed in the morning? So now, please share your thoughts. What's popping into your head around that sense of, what is it that gets you out of bed in the morning? And again, what is it that gets you out of bed in the morning? What are the things that make it worthwhile? And well, maybe also, you know, some of those similar themes that we've already talked about, they may come back here. Are we connect? And that will show how connected we are with them and on a daily basis. So great, we've got that leading piece and connection to your team, Zoe. I love that. Okay, Imka's going to the newspaper. Okay, interesting. I want you to look quite internally here before we think about what's outside of us. what is it that we might connect with? And of course, maybe we don't connect that much. And I want you to rethink about how you might connect a little more with the things that make a difference to you. I love that language, Sarah. I want to make a difference. I want today to be worthwhile. Meetings and discussions, Ingrid, are so important, aren't they? That connection that's so much harder in our online world, but it's really important. Michelle, connected to your family. I love that. Helping others, Mina, hitting certain goals like an exercise plan. Yeah, great. That's lovely, Sarah. So things again that are making us, that are helping us to cope in this stressful time. Okay, Gail, you're drawn to your to-do list immediately. The things that hopefully make you happy on it, great. And Zoe, that purpose piece coming through again with Ali as well. And I really want you to be thinking about that deeper level. We can be on automatic pilot. We have routines that help us to function, but sometimes they stop us connecting with what really matters. And so again, I want you to be thinking in the morning and maybe put a little reminder on your phone, or, you know, just sort of that mental reflection when you get up tomorrow, when you're in the shower, about what am I looking forward to today? What's important, so that actually we can not let those moments slip by. We can really treasure them. We can really invest in them, be really present for them, really aware that they're an important part of our day, and not just, oh, when's my first meeting? What does my electronic diary say? What do my kids need for breakfast? All of that happens as well. But if we can connect at that deeper level, then that, I think, you know, just starts us to be connecting with that deeper picture of success and what it means for us. These are often things that also give us energy. So we want to be reconnecting during the day with these elements where we're able to, you know, have a sense of, yeah, I've had that meeting. That was something this morning that was important today. I've got some energy from that, because there are things that are draining us at the moment, and there are things that give us energy. We want to focus on those during the day. Now, my next question is to start looking outside of us. Now, when we think about what does purpose mean, I want you to give me a little bit more detail. A couple of you have already used the word purpose. Some of you talked about making a difference. Can you share a little bit more about what your purpose might be? What difference? What is the change that you want to see? Or another word that I sometimes use is, you know, what is it that actually brings meaning to our life? What are the things? So we're getting suddenly deep here. You know, we've kind of stopped just looking at our emails. We've stopped looking at our calendars. We're actually starting to think at a much deeper level. And that's the lovely opportunity we'll have in these 3 sessions. What are those things that are, how do I even begin to describe that? And you know what? It's absolutely fine if you're going, oh, I don't know how to express it. You know, again, I want to give you a little bit of time to reflect on that, to be thinking about how might you talk about that. Can you write a phrase or a sentence that will sum up what your purpose is? Can we start to clarify that? Now, we never know 100%. Sometimes it's easier to think about what that looks like. You might just want to write down a sentence for yourself at the moment. I'd love it if somebody would be brave and feel that they can share in the chat. What does that actually look like at the moment for you to be expressing what that making a difference means? Okay, Zoe, or, you know, another big word there with legacy. Can you give me any more detail on what might be the legacy you want to leave? Lara's brought in the L word. Great. Yeah, to bring a little more love to the world that we're in. Now we're getting into really serious success metrics. Imka, nice. I love that phrase, leaving the world just a little bit better. I love the All Blacks mantra of, they talk about leaving that jersey, the rugby jersey that they're proud of as New Zealanders, in a better place than when they joined. You know, Catherine, being wise enough to know the difference in the things I should accept can change and the ones that I can't change. Absolutely. Empowering women, Zoe, that's great language. Veronica, very connected to your purpose. That's brilliant. And presumably your work is very much centered around that. How amazing. Now, the more we can connect to this, the more often we can connect to this, articulate this, put it into our own words, connect interactions to this. Again, the more creative we can be, the more resilient we are when we hit challenges along the way. Often we leave the purpose out there. We don't perhaps connect with it. And I really urge you to write some of these phrases down. Write them before you start work. Don't have the first thing that you do in the morning to be opening your email. Have the first thing that you do, write down your purpose and how you phrase it today and how you might phrase it a little bit differently than you phrased it yesterday. Write that down in your notebook or write it onto your electronic notes. Ali, that's a wonderful and very powerful purpose to have. Again, write that down first so that you connect to it as often as possible and bring the things into the day that link to that, so that again you're resourcing yourself, you're using the strength of the purpose and connecting it to some very mundane things that have to be done that then seem more meaningful for you. It's also a way of helping you prioritize and not just do the first thing that's come into your inbox, but actually do the things that are going to make a difference towards your purpose. And that's important because I see a lot of unproductive people at the moment in organizations I'm working with who are just, doing whatever's just come into the email inbox. And that is not a great way of having the biggest impact with the limited time we have. The clearer we are about our purpose, the clearer we are to prioritize how we spend our time. And again, if we're working in teams, help our teams to feel connected to the purpose, not just when we have an away day, but actually every time we have an interaction, every time we have a meeting. How does this very small aspect of our work relate to the bigger purpose of what we're trying to do? Be explicit. Don't assume people know. Help them make the link so that they can really connect with that and make good decisions about how they spend their time. Wonderful phrases there. They deserve to be written down on a regular basis and brought into your work as much as possible. When was the last time that you wrote this down, any of you? When was the last time that you wrote any of these purposes down? I'm interested. Okay, quite recently, Emily. Oh my goodness, Imka, great. I'm so glad I asked the question today. I love Squiggly Careers. I love the amazing If team and the Squiggly Careers podcast that I appeared on in the January episode, to go and have a look at that. If you want to hear a little bit more about my thinking and applying it to their work, great. Far gone never. Well, I'm so delighted to give you an opportunity. This is something you want to visit again, standing in the shower, have a little connection moment before you start work. Connect with what really matters to you. I absolutely echo Ali's words. I mean, within half an hour, we've got to that deeper level than we often live our lives at. We're rushing around, clicking on calendars and emails without connecting to who we really are. And that's actually what helps us to be resourceful and then to reach our potential, to bring our best to what we do. That's exactly what I want. Lovely. Okay, Cath, and you have a journal, and a journal is a great way of making sure we regularly touch in with this deeper level. It might be if you're going for walks at the moment during lockdown life, that you connect a little bit with your purpose when you go for a walk. It might be even just going outside to put the bins, bit of fresh air, stand outside, just connect with what matters. In the shower, before you start work, find that point at which you can connect with what really matters to you. Great. Okay, couple more questions just to think about defining success in a way that will help us to access it and feel that we can control what we do. So the next piece that I'm going to think about, and I'll have a little exercise in a moment before we go into breakout rooms, is to be thinking about what does success look like on a daily basis and in a way that's within your control. When I was an Olympic athlete, we knew what the end goal was. It was going as fast as we could on an Olympic lake with thousands of people watching, millions of people watching on TV, thousands in the grandstands, going faster than the rest of the world, hopefully. But on a cold day in January, what does success look like? If I don't have a successful day today, if I don't optimize my improvements, my learning, then I won't ever reach that peak performance. But today doesn't look anything like that peak performance. I'm not going faster than the rest of the world. Nobody is watching. It's cold, it's difficult, and I've got some challenging training sessions to get through. So I need to define for myself, what am I in control of today? I'm in control of improving my physical fitness. I'm in control of listening to my coach and developing my technique. I'm also in control of developing my communications, because they're going to need to be at a peak level when I get to that Olympic performance. So every day I need to be understanding the people I'm working with a little bit differently, a little bit more deeply, asking different questions, understanding their motivation, understanding their perspective on what we're doing, so that we build collaboration every day. I need to be looking after myself. I need to be in charge of my nutrition, my recovery, and I need to be thinking about my mindset. That becomes my success metric. Not beating the world, because I can't do that today. I don't have a race today, and I'm not good enough to do that today. But in order to get to a point where I might have a go at that, I need to make sure that I'm developing all of these areas, these performance areas that are within my control. The results, I can't control those. They're not going to be happening today, and they're a long way off. My best chance of optimizing results is to take control of the performance elements that are within my control. That's what I want us to be building a picture of success around. I've got a little exercise you're going to do in a moment before we go out into the breakout room. And I'm going to give you one more question to add into that, to think about, what experience do you want to have, and do you want others to have around you? Again, you can have a huge influence in what this looks like. And for me, experience is a really important metric of success. It's no good hitting the success metrics, even winning medals, if I've been miserable along the way. I know of an Olympic champion who won a gold medal. They came into the changing room, threw it in the bin, and said, I've had such a miserable time getting here. I don't want that medal. I don't want to look at it anymore, because it reminds me of the terrible experience I've had. That, for me, is not success. That doesn't represent an experience that I'd want to hold up to the next generation, that I'd want to recommend other people go through. The story around what happens, how we achieve those targets, those measures of success, the medals, the targets, the trophies, the business results, is important, because it will determine what happens next, whether you can achieve those results again, whether you can inspire others to achieve them with you. So experience is also a point that I want you to bring into your definition of success. So we're going to start thinking about, what does this look like? And I'd love you to just get a piece of paper, a blank piece of paper, and start scribbling your stick man. And around that, some of the phrases we've already used, what are the things that get you up early in the morning? When you answer that question, pop them, on one side of your head. The purpose, the things that, again, the lovely phrases you use, just a word, a phrase that comes to mind, and come back and revisit this and build on this after the session as things come to you. Your mindset, when you're at your best, what are your beliefs? What are your attitudes? What are you thinking? How are you behaving with your team, with your family? What might I see when you're at your best? How are you interacting with others, communicating? What does that look like? What do you bring to your relationships, and how do you invest in them? That experience piece, how might you start to describe the experience that you want to create for yourself and for others around you? And that all sits on the foundation of well-being. What are those daily habits that are important to, being at your best? And some of you mentioned that kind of exercise in some of the answers previously. So I'm just going to give you 2 minutes all together, just to start, scribbling on a piece of paper the words that are coming into your mind, some of the things that you've put in the chat already, starting to flesh out for you, what mindset, what does that actually mean for you? Behaviors, when you're at your best, what does that look like? If we don't know what that looks like, it's very hard to dial that up, or to assist or assess how we might shift it. So I'm just going to give us all a couple of minutes to fill in some of those boxes. If you've got any questions, then please come on the audio and ask those. And then we're going to pop you into the breakout rooms to have a bit of a chat together about, what's coming up for you? What gets in the way of these? How might you dial these up more? But I'm just going to give you some quiet for a couple of minutes, minute and a half, to think about, what does this look like for you now? Great. So you've got a few thoughts written down. I can see lots of sort of heads looking down and scribbling, and, you know, come back to this now. We've got it there. You can keep it beside your desk or in your journal, whatever it might be, and kind of keep adding to this sense, clarifying what success looks like on your own terms in ways that you are largely in control of. So the wonderful Victoria is going to pop you into a breakout room for 10 minutes, 4 of you, just to share, you know, again, how can you dial some of these up? You know, what struck you about any of these questions? How can you dial them up? What might be getting in the way? But more than anything, I want to focus on how can you really play to these and bring these in more to what you do. So have a great conversation. I look forward to hearing what comes out of that. And over to you, Victoria, to work your magic. Great. Welcome back. Welcome back. Share, great to see you all back. These are deep topics, so, you know, 10 minutes isn't enough time, but it's hopefully gives you a flavour. I dipped into one of the rooms and loved the reflections and the questions. I am somebody who asks lots of questions, so I'm leaving you with questions to take away and to reflect on further, to kind of write down and be thinking about, so that, you know, beside the to-do list, okay, we're minimizing the impact the to-do list is going to have in your life. It's one useful tool, but it doesn't control your life. And this is hopefully developing a richer piece. Can you just all pop in the chat for me one word about what's resonating with you? What are you thinking about, or a phrase? What did you take from your discussion? Just give me a temperature check on where you are. What's resonating for you? What are you thinking about? Okay, energy, and of course, connecting to our purpose, to these deeper levels of what matters to us, gives us a lot more energy. Great. What else was coming up in? Oh, Lily's going super deep. Meaning of life. There we go. Tuesday lunchtime, and we're discussing the meaning of life. That's for me a great success metric. Lovely. So we're tapping into the human side of who we are. We're not machines. We're not just here to fulfill tasks. We're actually here to have an experience and create an experience for those around us. Thinking about attitudes, yeah, breaking purpose into those daily wins. That's absolutely what I want us to do. Connect with, rather than just next week's deadline, I want you to think with what do I need to do today to turn up well, and how does that relate to the longer term, to the bigger picture? So I'm sort of stretching. Often success is really focused on quite short term, next week, next month, this quarter. I want us to be stretching that back to today. What are the small wins today, and how I turn up, the way I think, the way I behave, the way I connect with others, and how does that relate to then the bigger picture of what I want to do? Great, that lovely, yeah, what's experience? How do you start to describe the experience that you want to have and that you want to create for others around you? And you know, this evening, don't look at that to-do list and tick things off, or do that very quickly. And then think, what experience did you create for all the people you interacted with today? That's a great way of sort of reviewing your day. Brilliant. Okay, so, you know, a little snapshot there. Gosh, the time flies, and we are, you know, looking at some really deep concepts here that are really important to resourcing ourselves. So, you know, keep this piece of paper, keep working on it over the next week. Have it at the side of your desk when something pops into your mind. Think about it at the beginning of the day, at the end of the day. Have this sense at the end of the day, you know, how did I turn up today? What was my mindset today? What do I want it to be tomorrow? Okay, keep this piece of paper going with you over the next week, and then you can tell me how it's going, what that's looked like, what's come up for you next time we meet. And to be thinking about how can you dial up this sense of these small wins that help us to be at our best in a way that's, you know, on our own terms, in terms of our mindset, the way we behave, the way we connect with others. Have a little bit of think about what's maybe getting in the way of some of these, and become more conscious of which of these can you change, can you have an influence on. So, at the end of the chapter where I write about clarity in my book, the tips I give are to be asking ongoing clarifying questions about what matters. We're not solving it all today, this lunchtime. We don't ever have 100% clarity. But let's make sure that we continue to clarify and help others to clarify what really matters beyond these often slightly meaningless short-term tasks. Start developing what purpose looks like and writing down what is that? How does my life today connect with that? Start thinking much more about the how, not the what, which was beautifully described in the breakout room I was in. Start lengthening the time scale. So actually we have that sense of success isn't just about next week or next quarter, but there's a bigger game at play here. And reflect on what has given meaning in your life and what will in the future. Big stuff. I'm so delighted at how quickly and how we were able to get into some really deep kind of elements there. So I'm going to see you next week for part 2. Keep reflecting on all of these questions and let me know how you kind of, come and show me and hold these up next week at the beginning of our session, how that's developing for you. A huge thank you from me for how brilliantly authentic and open you've been to share some incredibly personal and quite deep things already. I'm really looking forward to our conversations next week on constant learning. Over to you, Lily, just to close us off.
Brilliant. Thank you, Cath, for that thought-provoking session. It's certainly given me time to think about myself, reconnecting and, really thinking about the meaning of life and how I want to move forward to gain this kind of long-term success, but really in a way that works for me and in my own terms. And I hope everybody that it's really helped you, carved out this time for you to reconnect with yourself. And again, thank you again for being really interactive and opening up with us. So we have Cath next week, same time, same place. I just want to close with a few items just to share with you what we've got coming up. So let me just share my screen. So next week, same time, same place, constant learning. Upcoming events, just so you don't miss anything that we've got coming up. We have got some sessions, taster sessions this January that we've opened up. So if you're a non-member, you can jump in and for free and join us. We've got how to give and receive feedback in different cultures on the 20th of January. Then we have launched a series of mentoring circles, building your personal brand, which I guess also fits into what Cath has been talking about, really links into your purpose and your value. So do come along to that if you're wanting to build your personal brand. One that's really topical and relevant at the moment with COVID and lockdown. How do we get that balance? We spoke about that in today's session. Lots of us are trying to find balance in life. Well, come along to this interactive mentoring session, how to juggle work and family during COVID-19. And then in March, we have our International Women's Day event. This is our flagship annual event. And it's all about creating a life whereby you can thrive in all areas. So we've got lots of sessions across the 5 days, including masterclasses in talks, similar to what you've experienced today with Cath. We've got open conversations, mentoring circles, lots of good stuff. So if you haven't booked your ticket, we've got an early bird until the 24th of January. Do sign up. And then we've got some other sessions that we'll be releasing in April, which we've listed here, but do keep an eye out on the risingnetwork.com because we're always updating what we've got coming up there. And again, here are some of the speakers that we've got coming up at the Rising Festival. If you want to learn more, go to the risingnetwork.com to book your place there. And finally, I want to thank you all for being part of today's session, for engaging with us. If you're not a member, do check out what we do and join us. Lots of perks come with that. But like I said, we've opened up lots of our sessions coming up as taster sessions. So feel free to jump in and sign up for some free tasters with us. So on that note, thank you again. Cath, we've got some more lovely other comments in in the comments. Sarah says, thanks, Cath. Really good first session. Thank you, Cath. That was very thought-provoking. Lots and lots of comments. Thank you, everybody. And I wish you all a wonderful day. Have a good rest of the week. And we look forward to seeing you next week. Thanks again. Take care, everybody.